Okay, so we're going to take a look at publishing cheap. And I think, as we said before, this is really a new world where you're going to plan to publish, not to look for a publisher.
Yeah, Diane, that's a big change for people because in the old days, up till last week, people were out there looking for publishers. They're sending off their manuscript to agents and all that kind of stuff. But folks, you don't need to do that anymore. It just isn't necessary in order to be a successful published author. Remember, Diane, I'm using the word successful there, not just published.
Exactly. Well, and I think you said people were so worried about getting permission, and now, in truth, well, you've been a self-published author since 1988, and we've already talked about how many books you've sold.
My parents were self-published authors since the early 80s, which is amazing. And back then, the things we had to do to self-publish were incredible, but we just didn't want to wait for the big publishers to pick us up. And my mother was an author, and I just didn't want to wait. I needed to make money fast. I didn't have time to wait for a publisher to decide that my book was right for them.
Exactly. And I think, well, in 2011, we talked a little bit about Fast Pencil. That's when you switch to the on-demand publisher, which is really nice since you don't have to carry inventory. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, on-demand publishers, folks, just tell you what they are a little bit. On-demand publisher, you have your manuscript with them. People can order the book. Now, listen to this. This is pretty amazing. They can order the book. The on-demand publisher, the online on-demand publisher, takes the order, takes their credit card, prints the book at that point, and ships it to them. There's no inventory. You're not tying things up. It's amazing. It's so inexpensive, and it is really the way to go.
And let's talk just a little bit about really why publishing used to cost so much money. And there are a number of issues here.
Well, you think about it. I mean, when I first started writing, and we first started self-publishing, we actually had to cut copper plates for all the pages of the book. I mean, it was amazing what you had to do for that if you were going to do some large volume printing. And then we had to print thousands and thousands of copies. Luckily, we sold thousands and thousands of copies, but a lot of people didn't. And the publishers used to send books to all the bookstores, and the bookstores got to keep them for a year, and if they didn't, then it's still a policy, by the way, Diane. If a bookstore doesn't sell a book within a year, it doesn't matter what condition it is, if the cover's torn off, it can return to the publisher for the full refund.
Amazing.
So this made it tremendously expensive. The cover design, the ISBN, all that kind of stuff, tremendously expensive. That's all changed now.
Yeah, it's just really exciting. So we talked a little bit about an on-demand publisher and why you should use it, but I know the formatting. One of the first things, many of them format automatically.
Yeah, some of them you actually just take a Word document or whatever word processing you're using, you load it up there and you click a few buttons and they format it into a book for you. I mean, it's just incredible, and it's so quick and so inexpensive. It's changed the world.
Yeah, it really has. A lot of them include a cover design function, and there's lots of other ways to get a really professional-looking cover done, so that doesn't have to be a big issue. I think, as I said, I love the fact that you didn't have to carry inventory because the first book that I published, I still have about 100 copies sitting in my garage. You don't want to do that, nor do you have to.
Yeah, and I do. I mean, it was with some of my books, I do actually print large quantities because I'm selling them to brokers and that sort of thing. And I know some of the people I work with, Diane, also they do speaking, or maybe they want to have 100 books with them to go to a talk and sell at the back of the room, that kind of stuff. You can still do that, and there are a lot of what we call short run printers out there too who will do that for you at incredible prices.
But the nice thing is that you don't have to, and with all the sales that go on now via the internet, most of the on-demand publishers will include a sales page and the e-commerce on the internet.
That's right. It's all set up for you. And think about it this way. If you're publishing digitally on Kindle or Nook or the iBook reader or whatever, there's no inventory anyway.
Yeah.
That's just completely
it's all digital.
Yeah,
right.
it's all digital.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful thing. And really, typical cost to publish, this is amazing. Wait for this number. $25. So I think most of you could probably manage that.
Yeah, I think it's incredible, folks. I mean, with most of these online publishers, in order to publish a book, all you've got to do is order one copy. and it's going to cost you less than $25. But there's usually a shipping fee and a setup fee at one time, that kind of stuff.
So,
but $25 would be about an average.
Yeah, you can do it, and you can have a hard copy in your hands. It's really exciting.
Oh, for a real treat! I mean, for a real treat, order a hard copy from the on-demand publisher. That looks so cool. What a great gift to give, or a memento. If you have children, folks, order a couple of hard copies for them of every book that you write, and really saddle them with something they have to move around for the rest of their life whenever they move. So you die and they get rid of it the day you die.
Yeah, there you go. Bottom line is, we do recommend a hybrid, an online and on-demand publisher. Now, certainly, I think one of the things that you have found, and that I'm happy to say we've had a chance to do together, is to provide people with the big three: an editor, a book designer, and a strategist.
Yeah, and that's really, this is a hybrid where you're actually hiring consultants. It's become also pretty inexpensive for that, and these people, the editor is very important.
Absolutely,
a book designer is really great. If you do a book design on an online publisher, that's okay. It's going to give you a perfectly acceptable book. But if you want a book that's set out with a theme, where typefaces are chosen for a theme purpose, and different kinds of white space and sort of intricate things within your book, it's nice to have a book designer for that, and then a strategist to help you sell the books.
Yeah, and also I would say to get focused in the first place too, so they can help you on both ends.
Well, that's a good
get
point.
Get focused in the first place.
Yeah.
Get your title, your subtitle, your to really get clear, especially for nonfiction, on the problem that you're going to be solving.
And all your on-demand publishers offer these services.
Yeah.
They have people do it. Again, folks, my caution would be, find authors to help you do this.
Yeah.
People who have actually done this.
Have actually done it. So, anyway, so certainly in terms of publishing, you can print on demand. Plus, you can get that digital distribution with these on-demand publishers. So we'll talk in a few minutes about being on Kindle and Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Bill already talked about getting the hard copies for about $15 each, and they really are a treat to have. So now let's talk a little bit about wide distribution, though.
Yeah, this is if you want to be on all the digital platforms and available on all the online bookstores and on all the versions of bookstores where people can walk into a bookstore and order your book. You need to do what's called wide distribution. Here's the thing, folks. You can do this yourself. You can actually learn how to load your book up onto Kindle and all that kind of stuff. But there are services out there that do this very reasonably. The company we use does it for $199, and they maintain it for you. So if one of the, like a Kindle, changes their formatting or something like that, they'll go in and change it for you. It's really fantastic. And what all these publishers do is they accept the royalties for you. They pay you quarterly or monthly, depending on which company it is. So this publishing thing is simple now.
Yeah.
It's just simple.
And don't try to figure it out yourself, because heck, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Get somebody who's already figured it out and spend your time writing your book. But one of the big questions that comes, I think, in this new world of self-publication is it real publishing?
Yeah, this drives me crazy when people ask this. And I've been on panels where they'll call me in for the self-publishing person, and I'm on there with a publisher and an author who's written through a regular standard publisher, and they are an agent sometimes, and they really are kind of mean without meaning to be, I think. Well, who knows? But and then they kind of indicate that self-publishing, the books aren't as high a quality, whatever. Folks, the quality of the book doesn't depend on the publisher. The quality of the book depends on the author and how well that author is connecting with the audience. That's the only thing that matters. And I don't know if you've ever seen a book formatted on Kindle.
There is no formatting.
There is no formatting on Kindle. So how good does it have to look? I mean, it's just crazy that people are getting themselves caught. Well, is this real publishing? Well, real publishing is something that gets... The purpose of the publisher is simply to get your book into the hands of the readers in some sort of format. That's all that they are supposed to do. So is it real publishing? Well, I think it is.
Yeah, exactly. And as we said, people that think of real publishers in New York City with a long history of rejecting manuscripts, we say that's a real slow publisher. So.
Yeah, that's right. That's a real slow publisher.
Exactly. So the other big question, though, is, again, if people are writing with some of these online tools and then self-publishing, is that a real book? And we'd say yes.
If you have fans that enjoy your book, it's a real book. Listen, it wouldn't matter. I love John Grisham. It wouldn't matter to me if John Grisham wrote on the back of a rock. I would still read it.
There you go. Exactly.
Because I love John Grisham. A book is a book, and I mean, yes, certainly what constitutes reading material now has changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people are stuck in this old model that they have to have this New York publisher because that means their book is good.
No, not necessarily.
No.
They publish a lot of books that haven't sold. So the bottom line is, is your book for sale, listed on wide distribution on the popular sites? Is it read by people who like it? That's a real book. Mm-hmm. So once again, I think to close out this section on publishing cheaply is not to put your happiness into the hands of people that haven't written and published. So
yeah, don't give them power over your life. Let your readers have the power.
All right, sounds good.